Is that 508?
Yeah. Nah, I'm back in this shit. I'm just back in this shit. I'm back in this shit. I'm just back in this shit. Nah, I'm back in this shit. I'm back in this shit. I'm back in this shit. Yeah.
What's up? It's Nolan. Another Sounds of Future episode. Who are we here with today?
Here with Fred Bucks, everybody from the Bronx, 22 years old. Here with Nolan, Sounds of the Future.
Thanks for joining us, bro. I appreciate it. So I just want to start off. Let's start with the beginning. How did you first get into music, and what really inspired you to pursue a career in it?
Okay, we're gonna take it from the beginning. Pop showed me Mike Jack at 4 years old.
Facts.
I thought that shit was fascinating, like top fire, moonwalking, all that. So that's where the love came in. Then I asked for MP3 for Christmas, and the only person who knew how to download music at that time was my sister. So my sister put all her music instead of kid-friendly music. So I was listening to all the Lil Wayne back then, all the Chris Brown, Kid Cudi, like all the stuff that was popping back, you know, when we was kids, like 2009, 2010, around that time. So I thought I was a rapper, bro. I thought I was a rapper since a kid. Like my birthdays, I would perform at my own birthdays. Like I still to this day, I still perform at my own birthdays.
So it's always in you, bro, right?
Yeah, I would say so. My father's very heavy in the music game too.
Word.
He does concerts in the Spanish scene. So I've always been around music, and like when I was 15, 14 years old in high school, I met a kid named Corey. He was already doing like SoundCloud stuff. He knew how to engineer on his phone and use GarageBand. And as a joke, I was like, yo, let me rap with you. And he let me rap with him, and the song went. And ever since then, I've been rapping and learning the game. So about 14 years old, but since a kid, I've always been dressing up.
That's fire. So I want to talk a little bit about the music you make. So you said growing up, you were obviously influenced by Wayne and stuff like that. But, you know, when we listen to your music now, who are the influences that we could hear in your music? And also, are there any new sounds you're trying to dabble into right now? Like experimenting wise?
Yeah, so influences, definitely like that 2010 era where we grew up on, like Drake, Lil Wayne, Kid Cudi, like the auto-tune, the Kanye West. Yeah. I think my style, I definitely derive from that, but I try to make it a little bit like more raw and intense because I'm from New York, you know, we're from the Bronx, so I love the auto-tune, but you know, like they not. I want to push the limit of what we can do with the sound. Yeah. So my sound right now is real gritty, real New York, real pain, real emotion, and where I want to go with it is kind of make it more introspective and more deep. I feel like sometimes my music is very, you know what's going on, but the story needs to get deeper. Yeah. I think as I keep going, I'm trying to get more deep and really be more specific on why I felt that emotion or what the song is about, you know, because I feel like sometimes I'm a little vague. But in terms of going forward, as a 22-year-old, getting older, and all my experiences, I think the music is gonna get like very deep, very like more specific on why I made this song, like who did what, why I did this, you know? Right. And I want to make a Spanish song, Puerto Rican, so I definitely want to do that.
Bet. So I want to talk about, you grew up in New York, correct?
Yes, sir.
Was it the Bronx? So I want to talk about growing up in the Bronx and then how that has also inspired, who you are as a person and also the type of music you make.
It's very cliche to say, but New York is very different. Very cliche to say. But the South Bronx. So I grew up in the South Bronx, but I'm from Uptown Bronx. Now, if you don't know the difference, the South Bronx is a lot of Hispanics and African Americans, and Uptown is a lot of Caribbeans. Yeah. It's all Jamaicans, all Trinidadians. So I'm the only Spanish kid on the block of all Jamaicans. I love my Jamaicans. I love my Caribbean people, right? So I got the best of both worlds, and I got to experience Jamaican side of things. I got to experience the African Americans. I got to experience Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, all sides of the world. And it makes you look different, especially when you start talking to these people about their cultures. It changes the way you talk. It changes the way you move. When you go to visit their countries and you really see what's going on and how they live, it really changes your perspective on things. So growing up, it was cool, you know, it was a little rough, but when you grow up here, you know how you figure it out. You figure it out, and you start moving correct and with the time and with the environment, and you learn. You know.
So to talk about that learning experience, you know, you've been making music for a little minute. I want to talk about the little hiatus you took for a year or so. So can you kind of get into the reasoning behind that, and you know, what you kind of want to get into now after that, or what you learned from that break, and you know, stuff you want to bring into the future?
So two things. Had my first son at 21 years old, and I broke my freaking teeth, guys. I broke my teeth. So I had my first son at 21. Biggest blessing of my life. I love my son, Freddie Jr. But yeah, I had to take care of him. You know, the first 3 months are very hard. You know, for my first time parents or anybody that's gonna be a first time parent, those 3 to 6 months, very rough. You're not gonna sleep. You see the bags under my eyes, you're not gonna sleep. And then a tragic accident I had, I fell, broke a couple teeth. I had to be in a dentist for a year, hospitals for a year, and I really couldn't do videos. That wasn't the image I wanted to portray to the fans and to the, you know, the older people that look at me and the younger people that look at me. That's not what I really wanted. So I decided to just take that break, get everything fixed up, and now I'm back outside.
I feel you. And welcome back.
Thank you.
So I want to talk about a little bit about your son too. You know, a lot of artists in past interviews have expressed how, you know, having a kid has really realigned their focus and, you know, brought a different energy out of them and as a person and also in their music too. Would you say you kind of resonate with that fact? And has your son really reignited your love for music and, you know, the hustle that you have for trying to, you know, make something of yourself in that sense?
Yeah, my son changed a lot for me. You know, like before you have a child, you really have no sense of urgency. You're just living day to day. You don't have a worry about another person on your mind. You're worried about yourself. You know, so it kind of puts a different drive in you, a different hustle in you, because you don't have a choice now. Yeah. You don't. Like you got to do it for you and you got to do it for bro. You feel me? And bro comes first. Bro got to eat first before you eat. You know, like if he needs something, it's before you every time. So it forces you to a different hustle, a different like animal in you. Like, you know, so if you're on that, if you love your children, if you love your son, that's what you're gonna do for your son, you know? And especially like the example you want to set for him, for the type of man that he wants to be, you have to be that. Like no matter how young you are, 21, 18, doesn't matter when you have a kid. It may not be what you wanted, but bro, it's how you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
All about how you handle that situation. So I wasn't ready to be a dad at 21. I ain't gonna lie to you. Nobody's ready to be a dad. No, you can be 25, 26 and you're not ready. But, you know, God gave him to me for a reason. And I felt like that reason, I'm gonna tell you guys this, was that I needed to be sat down. I needed to realign myself. I needed to focus, and he's definitely giving me that. So shout out to Freddie Jr.
Shout out to him.
Just turned 1 a couple months ago, man.
Happy birthday. So I want to talk about, you also mentioned how you believe God kind of brought that upon you to, you know, realign your focus. And how big of a role would you say your faith plays in your life now, especially? And is that something that you really look towards when you are, you know, I guess some people, when they're dreaming and, you know, manifesting, they would say they look towards God and they pray and they do all this stuff to hopefully achieve those dreams. Would you say you resonate with that too?
Yeah, I grew up Catholic. I'm very like educated on everything that has to do with Catholicism. Yeah. And yeah, I believe in God, guys. I believe in Jesus Christ, and that's what it is for me. Like when it comes to anything, you know, I think anytime that I was in a bad spot in my life, or like any of the years I can think back to that were bad, is when I forgot about God. That's what I really truly believe. Like I think every time I was like in a state of mind of like, oh, I don't have enough, or I need to do more, whatever it was, because I forgot about God. I forgot to ask. And then you think about it. Anytime you down low, or anytime you crying out for help, who you cry to? Who you pray to, you know? And it's like, can't do that only when you're down low. You got to do it for, you know, the good things too. Thank you, God, for my son. You know, even though it's hard, thank you, because the other side of it is something I can't see yet, but you know, whatever the universe wants. But yeah, I definitely keep God very, very important in my life.
So to talk a little bit about the things you can't see, obviously we can't predict the future and stuff like that, but we would like to, you know, have that that thought in mind of we know where we're going. In terms of your career and just in life, where do you see yourself, or where do you strive to be in 5 years from now? Is there any goals that you really are striving for in that sense?
The greatest dad ever. Yeah, great dad.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, great dad, established artist, businessman, and I want everybody to be like, I could call Freddie. That's what I want.
Facts.
I could call, if I need something, I call Freddie. So that's really what I see myself. Established artist, great dad, good example of a man, and you know, whatever comes with all those things, let's go. You know.
But so you also referenced a businessman too. You know, a lot of artists today, they diversify a lot. They expand beyond music. They get dabble into clothing and, you know, food and stuff like that. Would you ever consider, you know, going beyond music into different avenues that really turn yourself into a major brand where everybody knows Fred, just not just for his music, but as a, you know, entity?
Yeah, I think nowadays, so to answer your question, yes, I would do that. I think nowadays as an artist, I think that's the best way to go, because especially if you're young, if your mind's 22 or you're chasing your dreams, a lot of this is money out, guys, you know? A lot of even this, right? The studio costs you money, equipment, time, editing time, it costs you your time. Artists, we pay studio time, cover arts, mix and masters, video, outfits, you know? So a lot of this is money out until you get that big break, right? Like a label or a contract or money your way, club bookings, whatever it is may be. So I think diversifying is your best bet if you're not already coming out the gate 1 million views, you know what I mean? Like, I think if you're building a brand, then you kind of have to diversify and see all these things that you're good at, because if you focus on just your artistry, you never know the other things that you could tap into. You're gonna waste a lot of the time that you're young trying to just do this one thing, and you could spend a lot of years just doing that, and you be like, oh shit, I could have built a business and maybe done this, and then I could have put the money into the business, into my artistry, and done this. So you have to, you know, you have to. We're all not made for one thing, you know, like you all have skills that you could put into different things, and even what you learn in artistry, you could put into a business or into painting, whatever you want, you know. So yeah, I think diversifying is very important.
But I'm gonna talk about major labels now. You know, a lot of artists, they have dreams of signing to a major label, and some have fears of signing to a major label based on, you know, what comes with it, and, you know, losing creative control and stuff like that. But what is your opinion on that? Would you prefer to be an independent artist full time as you know, progress in your career, or would you prefer to be you know, signed to a deal and, you know, reaching different heights that way?
I have no preference. I think business is business. I think if the contract and what's in the contract and the money's right, then it makes sense. I think if it's not, and I'm already making that money on my own, and I have the team like I do already, if you're not offering me more than that, then it kind of doesn't make sense. But I don't really have like a negative connotation on signing to a label. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, conspiracy theory, this, blah, blah, blah. You know, really it's just a contract. You read it and the numbers are right and that fits into what you see for your set future, then, you know, you go with it. But if not, then I believe as an independent artist, you could still make it work. I think you could make more money than the label. I think you could, you know, but you have to put in a lot of work, because they put in years of time meeting people, networking and funding things and getting funding to do so. If you believe that you can do that, then yes, stay independent. I believe I can do that to a certain extent, but if a label came to me with a certain deal that maybe I couldn't meet that marketer, or I couldn't meet this playlist guy that works at Spotify, you know, then it makes sense. But other than that, no, I think both work.
So right now, what would you say has been the hardest part about being an artist? You know, has it been, you know, keeping that faith? Like, a lot of people, they give up maybe too early on because they may not see the return on the numbers, and they you know, kind of mentioned how you referencing what you said earlier about like how you're putting all this output out, you know, money wise, and then you're not seeing the return immediately. Yeah. Is that something that you would say has been the hardest part, or is there more difficulties in terms of being an artist?
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part, because when you're young, you wanna fit the image, you want to go hard, you want to chase your dreams, so you're trying to do everything that you see the industry guys doing, and you have to kind of step back from that and look at yourself as an artist and see, okay, how can I do the same thing with a lower budget that looks the same quality? How can I be creative enough to make a set that looks nice, you know, looks like a movie set? It's very possible. But I think, yeah, in the beginning, and even sometimes now, we're always looking at, how much is that gonna cost? How much is that gonna cost? How can we maybe lower that cost there so we could put more money here? How can we talk to this marketer or talk to this DJ so he could spin it a few times so it gets love in this part of the city, so maybe in the next year we can tour in that city, you know? Like, so yeah, I think the hardest part is money out, for sure. Because you have to believe that you're gonna make that money back big time after, you know what I mean? That you're gonna get bookings, that you're gonna be a streaming artist one day. And that's why I said maybe it's smart to diversify, because if you're already making money from somewhere else that doesn't take up too much of your time, or doesn't, you know, require too much energy, then you can put that money into your music, and now you're You know what I mean? You're working
sir.
both. You're making your music go far, and eventually you will get your big break. You know, if you believe in yourself that much, it'll come. So I do believe that it'll come.
Bet.
You know.
So I got 2 more questions for you. I want to talk about any upcoming work or projects, shows, stuff you want to promote like that.
So I have a show the 11th. That's going to be in the Spare Room in Brooklyn. I have a podcast the 17th with Jay Evans. I got about 20 songs coming to y'all in a span of like 3-4 months. I'm not playing, gang. I'm not playing.
He's coming.
And yeah, after those 20 songs those already planned, you know? So you guys are definitely getting that, like, no question. 20 songs by 3-4 months into the year. After that is tapes, shows, music videos, and more songs, and more interviews, everything, you know? You're not gonna stop seeing my face this year, gang.
So last question. We usually call it words of wisdom, but I'm gonna call it words from the future today. Any advice you want to give to the audience? Any lasting words, stuff like that?
No, I don't. It's very cliche. Don't let your environment define you, guys. Sometimes we keep around friends, we keep around certain things in our life that, you know, if you got it out, you would focus on the things that you need to do, you would get your priorities done, and you would probably be chasing your dreams a lot harder. The last year I lost a lot of people that I miss a lot. Friends, family, like I miss them with everything I love, you know, and I really mean that. But for some reason, that distance and that certain thing works for everybody sometimes. So I think sometimes, you know, especially where I come from, the Bronx, we keep around these certain environments because we're like, oh, this is what I know, this is the guys, whatever. And it's cool. Those are the guys. But you need to take a step back sometimes, look at what you're doing, realign it, fix it up, and go hard. Because if not, you're gonna look back a couple years later and be like, shit, like, I was just chilling with the guys for a couple years. We could have been, you know, doing this. So that's what I would say, especially to like my fellow people that live in the Bronx with me. Like, we have a lot of potential, a lot of skills, a lot of education, a lot of things that help us. And I think sometimes we get into that, oh, we're from the Bronx, you know, we poor. Like, bro, just people out here that spawned in third world countries, you know, we got it way better than them. So we got education, we got food, we got, you know, it may not be at the rate you want it or at the frequency you want it, but, you know, if you're appreciative and you're humble, you work and you watch what you're doing, you'll make it somewhere in life. I truly believe that. I don't think anything of the Bronx or environment or where you come from, gang members, anything, I don't think any of that has anything to do with what you can do with yourself in the future. That would be my piece of advice.
Facts. Well, thank you so much for joining us. That is another episode of Sounds of the Future TV. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, alrighty. Thank you, man.
Back in the field, back like I never left, ready to spill. Only got one shot, I go for the kill. Could've went platinum with thoughts of the drill, but I found a better way without a deal.